Introducing
Pretty Girls Love Real Estate. Stories of everyday women breaking barriers and building wealth through real estate.
Let's get it. Boss. BOSS.
Hello. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Pretty Girls Love Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Washington, and I'm super excited for another extra special guest today. I have Miss Desiree Garrido. She is a realtor, and she also does her own life coaching and professional development coaching out in the Bay Area in California. So I'm excited to talk to her about what's going on in that market, and also like how she's integrated her coaching expertise with her real estate career. So Desiree, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for the invitation to be and exchange energy on this amazing podcast that you put together during COVID, right?
Yes.
I mean, I love that. I'm just gonna tell you, I love it. It's like I really feel like we'll jump into it, but I really feel like COVID really allowed for people to do and be different.
Yes.
But whatever that looks like. And there's like, I think people go, oh, some people thrived and some people, didn't thrive during. I think all are experiencing I think what we ever needed to get into during that time. And then this is what this was born. So I'm excited to be on what was birthed from a dark time for us.
Appreciate it. Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people realize that, life isn't, tomorrow's not promised. Life is short, whatever. If something you want to do, just do it and just see what happens. So that was me. That was one of the things I always been thinking about. And then it was like, we're at home trying to figure out what's next or whatever. Like, why not just do it?
So good.
Awesome. So let's jump right into you. How did you get interested in real estate?
I mean, there's two stories to this story. So I'll go with the first story just because it does paint a little picture. So, I was in college, and my mother did a career change. She came over from the Philippines as a nurse, but, as life progressed in her life, she decided to also be an assistant to a real estate agent in Sunnyvale in the Bay Area. And she was just really good at it, saw her do it. And then she decided to get her license and go into real estate. So during that time, I would do their marketing for them. I was doing communications and marketing in college, and it was just a fun way to support and make money, all that stuff. And then I eventually started just doing assisting work. Like she was like, here, do this. I was like, okay. And I would just do a ton of what now I understand is to be really like escrow. I did escrow and loans, and I just assisted in everything. And then she was like, you should get your license. I think you really would be good at this. You'd enjoy it, blah, blah, blah. So I did. That's when I got my license back in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just always in, because I was sort of always her assistant over the course of the years. So I was just always in it, but I never really at the time felt like I went full time and was just loving it at that time. We're talking 2005, 6, 7, where I was really thinking my direction of my life was going to be I was going to be in, marketing communications. I just really wanted to align with probably a corporate entity or, organization at that time. I was messaged differently. So my vision of where I was going was I'm going to go to San Francisco, I'm going to work, do that thing. So that's where real estate started first. Lots happened in between, lots of life happened in between. And then I'll just get back to, I had a client, also as a, professional life coach, a personal trainer, just an overall, vitality strategist is what I would call myself. And I had a client, and we had just become friends, and a client worked with them for over a course of years. And he was just like, it's so great working with you. You really helped me with my work. And he's like, yeah, it's really stressful, in the work that I do. And he's in real estate in Palo Alto and the peninsula, which is pretty, I would say many people know it's a real affluent area, et cetera. Point is I was like, well, I have my license. Like maybe this conversation is happening for a reason. And from there, it literally went from, let me see if I have space in my time to maybe get back in, slowly, to like
Mhm.
I'm literally going full time at a luxury brokerage in like 6 months.
Wow.
And that's how it happened. That's how I got back in the second time around.
Okay, and so how has it been going so far? I know you were with them for a while, then you've recently switched brokerages. How's it going for you now?
So now I'm just any evolution in what I find in terms of just like real estate and life. I think as you evolve your business in real estate, or wherever where you are in real estate evolves. I think
Hmm.
that's pretty synonymous, right? So I just started to a lot of things started to happen and change. Um, I left that experience to go to a sort of start a team and build a team, with just high hopes and all of this stuff. And then that, like, we had some steam, and then it just wasn't working. And that's when the
Right.
pandemic happened and all that stuff happened. So then I shifted again, and I'm on a new team with a Compass, another brokerage that I originally left from, and it's a different world, right? I love my team. I'm with the Wilhelm team. I love them. It's very aligned, and Nicole and I were actually friends before, so there was already an established relationship, and we just align. So where I'm with now, um, I had my best quarter ever. I mean, I've been thinking more about real estate as a vehicle in so many
Hmm.
ways, much more than, doing deals and working with buyers and sellers and things of that nature. It's like I started to move into more of a macro way of looking at real estate and being in real estate, practicing real estate. And I feel like today I'm so much more into being curious about how I can be better, and not just
Hmm.
better, but how can the experience for whoever's on the other side of who I'm, speaking with, be better for them. And it's such a humbling place to come from, because like it makes me go like, damn, I really, sometimes I'm like, man, I suck. Like sometimes I'm like, man, I'm like pretty bad. Like, what's your feedback on such and such? And then I'll hear it, be like, damn, like, so it's like asking, like I'm so many times now I'm asking, I want to hear what you think about this experience. And then instead of taking it personally, I actually start go to the drawing board and go, I'm like, okay, next one is going to be like amazing. I'm going to take it from a B to an A. Like that's where I'm trying. That's where my mind is now. So very different, very innovative. And again, like thinking about real estate from a meta point of view for my life, right? Not just the business. So
Right. I think that's part of your introspection, as a life coach yourself, you're always kind of thinking about how, like you said, vitality, like, yeah, we are in this business to make money, but how is it helping your personal development? How are you aiding other people, get better at their own lives? How is the experience affecting you emotionally? So I love that you're thinking about those things. Because when real estate, we can be running ragged. We're always constantly trying to move around, trying to get more clients, do more deals, but you actually have to consider like how it's affecting your mindset as well.
absolutely. I think, I mean, it paints me, and that's the reason, right? I always think about the why now more than ever, because it's so easy, especially when you have momentum and you're just like you're just working, right? Like showing clients, meeting clients, showing property, negotiating, then farming for more listings and reaching out to your sphere and being engaging on social media, staying consistent. I mean, I can go on and on and on.
Right.
On and on and on. I can go on and on because it's endless, isn't it? Doesn't it
Yeah,
feel?
real estate is a lifestyle. It's not just a job like you can turn on and off from 9 to 5. Like you're 24/7.
So I had to always check in, because like I do believe also that in a very big picture of like philosophy, right? Like
Hmm.
what's the reason that I'm doing any of this for? Like why am I going so hard right now? Or where are the other areas of my life? How are they doing?
Right. Right. Yeah,
straight
it's
up.
not just about career, it's about your 360 perspective and how your whole life is going.
Yeah, how was life? Like, when was the last time on that time I went, and did something adventurous or different? I mean, I get it, we're in COVID, but still, like, I can go
Mhm.
bouldering. I don't know, I've never done that before, but you know what I mean? I could go and climb a rock or a tree to just get out of the idea that like everything is going to be about the success of business,
Right, right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah,
AK
that
AKA like the amount of money I'd love to make and want to make and know I can make and things of that nature too. Um,
mhm.
but knowing that it's all possible, I think it's all possible. And I like to study a lot I study the successful people in many different domains like spirituality and psychology, and of course business and real estate, music, fashion, right? Like,
Mhm.
what are the everybody's so different. Like, someone like is so successful, the way that we look at them, like they don't even have the same habits as someone who's like same successful on terms of income, but very different fields,
Right.
right? And doesn't that like also paint a picture as to, like, I think when we were talking earlier was creating your own lane of what that looks like for you and how it makes you feel good. Because if you're making a ton of money, in real estate, we know we can. I think that's why it appeals to a lot of people. Um, but also it's there's a question of like, well, why? I think
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
really
you're gonna make them a lot of money and do what with it? Like, why do you wanna
exactly.
do this? Like, who are you helping in the process?
Yes. So yeah.
Okay. Well, then I wanna go transition to I was gonna ask you about the real estate market, and we can talk about that later, but I wanna transition into, like, how you got into life coaching
Hmm.
and professional coaching and how that has kinda complemented your real estate career.
Yes. So during the time when I didn't go full time in real estate, I went full time in marketing communications, and I was working for a boutique agency, which basically we were extensions of, like, if you remember, like Sun Microsystems, WebEx,
Yep.
um, Cisco, all those companies. So I was the liaison between like technical writers and what companies wanted to be expressed as successes in their technology. Just even talking about it sounds fun and such a world away. But I also knew, I was like, man, I am not happy here. This is not
Mhm.
not where I'm going to be shining. This is not. I hated my boss. Oh man, bless his heart, but I don't hate a lot of people. I just disliked him. It was very oppressive.
Yep.
Anyway, um, and I was like, oh man, I'm just gonna, okay, I have to jump. I talked to my family. I was like, listen, I don't think this route is really for me, but I'm gonna figure something else out. And it's like, they're like, all right, like, make whatever makes you happy, just go. So I ended up going down and this should have been an indication. I took a creating a meaningful life class in college. And
Mhm.
in that class, I wrote, it was like, write down everything you've ever wanted to do, be, and have, whatever. So I kept that. I always kept it. And so when I decided to leave that corporate job, I took it out and I was like, okay, let's just go. So I started doing that. I was like, bartender, yes, I'm going to do that. I was so resourceful. I was like, I know somebody that was a manager at a restaurant. Maybe I can bar back. I was like, I had to go and get all the things just to know, like, that's not it, or that's not it, and that's not
Right.
it.
Right.
So then, after getting a job with with an active travel company in Berkeley, which all in and of itself is a story. It's like my coworkers, like, it's like the 200, like 100 people or more interviewed to get paid to travel, basically, and do like kayaking and biking and hiking and lead groups and just have fun,
Mhm.
right? Doesn't that sound great? And travel to some most amazing places. So I got the job because I knew someone there, but it was like competition. Like, you literally had to do all these things in front of you, the whole group, and it was the most challenging thing. So after I did that for about like almost a year, I was like, okay, let me get back to let me see, let me get back to it. So I was Googling and I was like, maybe I should get into leadership development.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure. And then I came across executive coach and I was like, oh, and so I read that and I was like, yes. So I just did the same thing. I did all the research and then found a school that actually, you could formally train at. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to the Coaches Training Institute in San Rafael. It was like one of the top, it's like the top, sort of educational organizations regarding coaching at the time. Even still, I think they changed their name, but I did that. I was like, I'm going to formally do this. Did that. And, we're like psychologists that had practices, HR people, all kinds of like CEOs would take the course, did the whole thing with me. And that's where I got my training. And so I knew then, I was like, you know what? I know, like, I've always been the go-to for people, always. Like, how to, like, just relationship questions or my thoughts and observations, how to get healthy, right? I was born with psoriasis, or like I had it, I developed it really early. So I
Mm-hmm.
just was always inquisitive about my own personal growth of like being healthy and fit. I was an athlete growing up, so I love to dance. I'm a dancer, so I just already have like a lot of energy, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So people always were gravitated to that. And not just like people in my life, like friends or family, but like coworkers, or
Mm-hmm.
I meet people on the street or like in the grocery store. And it's just, it just is naturally me of like perspective. And then if you want to hear what I think it could help. And
Right,
it's
right.
that's how I got to coaching. That was like 10 years ago. 10 years ago when I said coach, people are like, so what, you teach tennis? Like, no, no, no. I'm a, and then even back then, like coach was not a word. So I actually didn't like the word life coach. I liked vitality strategist.
Mm,
I strategized on how to make you really change from the inside out, like that vital life force inside of you to even be better, brighter, bigger. And a lot of times it had to do with like typically health, right? Most of the time people aren't vibrating like low because they're probably feeding their body like low vibrating food.
yep.
Just I can speak on like a, like not so esoteric, but I believe in energy. I think everything is energy, and it is. I think under a microscope, there's energy behind the things, like anything. So yeah, I think a lot of times people gravitate to my energy, and I'm not a. People think I'm like positive and all the time. That's not true. I think I'm positive because I've struggled with a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I had to go into. I really maintain my energy, and so that's why people feel it, because I work on it like all the time. Otherwise, it's not good. It's not cute.
Yeah. So how has your experience been? Like, you obviously naturally attract people. You obviously give off positive energy all the time, and you were helping people kind of develop those instincts for themselves. So how has that translated over to help you with real estate?
Real estate, wow, real estate is nothing but relationships,
Mm-hmm.
period. But of course, you meet a buyer, or you meet a client, and you want to help them, and etc. And everything is still relationship. Sometimes I find, even with clients, like, even though I'm helping them, sometimes clients have their own things that they're dealing with, that also, I can sense and feel, and maybe it makes me think that I'm not doing great, although I get everything you ever wanted. And I don't know, that there's been, I've had experiences where people aren't still not like happy, even
Never
though,
satisfied, even
you
though
know,
they got everything they asked for.
exactly. Like they said, I want, this kind of house at this price point. I'm not willing. I'm like, okay, all right. And I go out there and I go get it. I find it. I negotiate. I save the money, the whole 9 yards. And then, but yet, like maybe still, they may not be like you would think, like happy as can be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I would think that something's wrong with me, right? Like naturally, like, wait, did I do something wrong? Like what happened? And I always check myself. But I think this happens a lot in real estate. I've heard it happen. I had it happen to me recently, and I've heard a colleague of mine happen it to her, where like you think you're doing like the most for your client, and you are, and you get them exactly what they want, and yet they're not like your biggest fan, right? Or not that they have to be your biggest fan, but they're not necessarily happy, 100,000% happy. There's like something else.
Yeah, people take it for granted that you've gone above and beyond, and they just like, okay, thanks. Like, there's no enthusiasm or anything after all your hard efforts.
Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Oh, I think I definitely have, where people are just expecting, I guess people expect certain things. And so, or people are used to receiving everything they want. So they take, when you go above and beyond, they take it for granted.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Well, I mean, with life, being a life coach and vitality strategist, I like to call myself a breakthrough strategist now. I'm really starting to see that, because that's just the truth. When we're blocked, we need to break through something that is blocking us.
Hmm.
But now, being encouraged to be even more myself in real estate. I used to hide it, to be honest with you. I used to not, definitely didn't integrate it the way I have recently. Because I thought, again, like I, I maybe thought it was less or not that important or whatever the case may be. But now I like, you know, I don't worry about, there are things like when it comes to clients too, or even just other agents, right? Everything to me is about, in this space of being transparent and advocating, and then also making it really about them and not me in every way,
Hmm.
right? And so as coming from a coaching perspective, what that means, that also lets me sort of think from not like like a level between you and I'm thinking about me. Instead I start to think on what's called a coaching level, which is meta, which is like it's not about them, me or you. It's all about them and their experience of it, right?
Hmm.
So so from a coaching perspective, like I can be basically really sort of work from a non-attached place, regardless of how someone's feeling or the stress or the anxiety that they're feeling, or even for me, right? It's funny, as a coach, I'll practice within like an experience with a client, but I'll also use it, apply it to myself, where like we're negotiating and we at 8 offers, we came in number 2, only 50,000 less. And if they came back to us, we would have counted, like we could have got this deal, right? And then how do I manage, not manage like the clients and then my own self and expectations, right?
Right.
So that's when coaching comes real handy. Like is real handy, because then we just go back to, okay, well, what's the why, right? There's always going to be some kind of wave. Like there's never flat waters, right? The ocean's not like that.
Hmm.
But do you have the skill sets? So the skill sets are like listening, feedback, you know, taking the temperature of how people are actually feeling. And it's funny now when and I take clients, like for example, I look at houses with clients, I ask them questions like, you know, like what would make you happy? Like what about this house makes you happy? Because I ask
Right.
that question a lot. I think it might sound real cheesy, but like I always say at the end of the day, like what would make you happy? Like what do you really want? What would make you happy? And
Hmm.
people get real like, it's like they really think about it, and then it starts to be about the house, and maybe more, have it be a little bit more meaningful in a sense, right? I
Yep.
can connect the head and the heart to the experience, because I think that even like buyers, right? You can get so caught up. Like, let's go look at property. Okay, does this fit? Like, you can get so caught up before you stop and really just start to feel and connect your what you really wanted with how you feel. I always ask that, like, how you feel, because I think people forget that that's a part of this whole experience, and especially
No.
particularly with like, right, residential, especially with
Right.
residential.
Yep.
Um, yeah. And one thing I'm going to save that for later. I remember, if I'll save it for later. Okay, I'll pause. Back to you.
No worries. No, I was gonna say I agree with that 100%. Like I think we can get caught up in like the transaction of everything, and everything is about the numbers. Obviously, this is real estate, it's a business, like that matters. But especially like you said with residential, like there's an emotional component when you're looking for your house. Like you want to like feel like, all right, positive energy coming from this place. Like And then the process, like comparing something just apples to apples, it could be the same deal, the same kind of process, but if you don't have a positive experience with the person that you're dealing with, you can still leave like that negative, nasty feeling, like, a buyer's remorse almost, if you didn't have a good experience along the way. So that's super important, I think.
I've been changing a lot now. Just it's one of the things I love about having your own business, right? Is just I like to apply immediately. I get
Hmm.
feedback and I apply it immediately. Meaning like the next interaction I have with a new client or a new lead or whatever, and it's like so I see the change in real time. And recently I had an experience where I mean, I won't go into because to it, but I've never met them. I helped them find a house, and I was on vacation in San Diego. I literally wrote an offer while I was there, and so I didn't meet them. There wasn't really a relationship established yet, but it was like the biggest decision of their life, like their first house.
Hmm.
So it was like, okay, once we did meet in real life recently for the home inspection, I wanted to ask all these questions like okay, well, how was this experience like for you? Like what would have been better for you during that time? Just I'm real, like I take myself out of it. And I think as a coach and in coaching, like that's another practice and tool is just take yourself out of it, right? And think of it from the perspective of whoever's on the receiving end, or the buyer or the seller, maybe even the other listing agent, like or the buyer's agent. Like what would their experience be of you? And
Hmm.
something that is, to be honest with you, is it excellent? Do you like that? Do you want more of that? But one thing I notice is when I start to do that, it's almost like getting very transparent and real with you and how you're conducting yourself or your business. And um, when I started to get more inquisitive about it, things just start going way more with flow. Lots of
Hmm.
flow starts to happen, right? Flow of like, okay, things are moving. It's almost like if you've ever felt it in business where there's like resistance, even from like the client, or if there's like resistance,
Right.
I feel it too. It's palpable, right?
Yep. Yep.
You feel resistance. And so I'm telling you right now, I believe it's energy. So when you go in and you kind of dance with somebody, but you get to like kind of you sort of disengage whatever energy they're at so that they're at least neutral, right?
Hmm.
Then all of a sudden things are just easier, like that text message where you send like, hey, I have to schedule another appointment. The inspector missed a spot or something, and it's going to inconvenience the seller, whatever. But the point is, I've already established this like flow with that. He's like, they'd be like, yeah, of course, let me just
No
double.
problem. Yep.
Exactly. And that's not being in resistance, because I've already built that relationship up, even just in a short time, like a few days. But that's about like dancing. And a lot of coaching, what coaching is really at the end of the day, it's coactive. That's what I trained at. I was like, it's a coactive experience. I move with you, right? But I also am also like, like shepherding you or guiding you towards what you told me you wanted, that makes going to make you happy or more fulfilled, or the thing that you want, that goal, right? So it's fun. It's been really, really interesting to interplay the two now. And a lot of things are actually birthing from it. So I'm not surprised.
That's awesome. Yeah, it goes back to what you were saying about real estate being all about relationships. Like there's a million different, real estate agents out here. And anybody, if you have the competency, you can get somebody to the finish line of a transaction, but it's all about how you make that person feel and their experience. And that's how you have a smooth transaction, a smooth process, and then gets people to come back to you, gets them to refer their friends to you, and just keep that positivity so that you're attracting, just great experience with the people that you're dealing with. So awesome.
Way to summarize that. Absolutely. I was
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, that sounds good. Good.
I appreciate it. So I want to transition from there. Like we're talking all about the relationship aspect, but I want to talk about like just from a perspective of your market, because everybody knows San Francisco Bay Area was already one of the most expensive markets, one of the most competitive. And then with the pandemic, just the real estate market in general in the country has been bananas. So I want to talk about your opinion of how the market is. And then I guess since San Francisco and the Bay Area has gotten really saturated, what are some areas of opportunity that you see that, are kind of developing now?
Yes. Real estate. So I see the market. It's interesting. I think that inevitably there's going to be a slowdown. Inevitably.
Hmm.
Um, and I choose to interesting, like the way that I see it is that's what I think. That's what I think about the market. The market is bananas and inevitably it's going to slow down.
Right.
I think that the pandemic and COVID and probably maybe some things that are going to be happening politically and probably more things happening in society like racial tensions and maybe division or whatever the case may be. Whatever the things that are happening, the horrible things that are happening right now too, all are also going to interplay with the real estate market. It's just I feel like that's what's happening too.
Yep.
So I think that there's going to be, and I don't know, I'm thinking like big picture meta is that people of color and that once were not as active in the real estate market, that just like voting, just like when it's like something woke up and it was shaken. I think
Hmm.
that this demographic of people are going to be coming into the real estate market, both as investors,
Hmm.
new homeowners, people who've been renting for years and years. They're like, you know what? No, I think we're going to change that. We want to, let's start, we're going to buy. So what that means is that's going to trickle like beginnings of like generational wealth to start. So that's going to change the trajectory of cultures. I think that's what's happening. I think real estate is interesting in that all of a sudden crypto and that space is changing. You could potentially, pay with crypto these days or put a down payment. This is what I've been hearing. So technology is going to influence real estate because it already is. Um,
Hmm.
and that's going to change the landscape of real estate as well. I think that it's like I said, I think it's going to become more of a vehicle, and the entry point to entering it is going to be lower for whatever reason, just because there's more options and feels like life is becoming more creative as it pertains to real estate. Real
Hmm.
estate back then used to just for me was boring. Sorry, is that it was dry and boring.
Mhm.
And it didn't look like me. And people who own homes also, or the ones that I wanted to live in, didn't look like me or my family, right? I think that all that's changing. So I think that the real estate market is changing and reflecting what's happening in society.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I think with the pandemic, everybody was at home, and then it was always also this state of like we don't know what's going to happen next. Like let me try to learn about something new. Let me try to learn about investing, or either you were interested in it a little bit before, and now you have more time on your hands to try to investigate something new. So everybody's getting more into entrepreneurship and investing. So I think it's definitely a wealth transfer happening, like you mentioned, and more people of color. And then the kind of clash of everything that's happening with like the George Floyd situation, that's created more of an outcry, and more people are starting to have the conversations about racial equity around the country. So it's just a perfect storm of different things that have happened that have made, I think, a lot of progression happen. And I'm excited to see where we go moving forward with the real estate market.
Me too. I think that it's going to be something no one's ever seen before. Really, and just like the pandemic, right? It's like all the things that are happening, no one ever really predicted was going to happen. I think that's going to happen, continue to happen in the real estate market.
Hmm.
In terms of the San Francisco Bay Area and Silicon Valley and proper, the Bay Area proper, they only like Bay Area empire say that they say that in LA or Southern California, which I think like I'm going to bring that up to the Bay, saying that because you can say you're from the Bay, and that's like could be an hour away from each other, but we're still from the Bay. It's true. People that's so okay. So what's happening in the Bay Area? It's like it's bananas is bananas. Like Oakland, probably are seeing offers and numbers like they unprecedented. I believe. All right, I'm talking like 500,000 over asking.
Mm.
500,000 over asking, and it was multiple offers. I've heard that. Or was it 600? I'm not playing. That's like, this, so it's competitive. That's everywhere. That's pretty much in many of the, the bigger markets, like not so much San Francisco, from what I understand. I'm not a SF agent particularly, but I do know that, people are wanting to leave the city
Right.
for more space.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've seen happen, and I think that is going to be really interesting, is with the change of being able to work from home, right? And I think that that's going to just, I don't know if that's going to be forever for many, many companies and employees, but I think that it's going to be an option. And I think that option is going to spark like just a lot of change and movement, which it already is. So what I love, and I'm from the Bay Area in general, and I also recently moved out to what is the secondary market, and that's the entry point to San Joaquin Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what that is basically, there's a city there called Manteca, which used to be famous for its water slides when I was a kid, um, is the third fastest growing city in California.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you think about it, like there's not a lot of space in Cali these days that's like positioned, near a metropolitan city per se, right? So because that's the case, like I'm already seeing it out here. Like I've been busy, and I'm like, wow, what it's happening is the Bay Area market is basically just spilling over
Yep.
into parts. That's exactly what happened, because they can't go, if you're looking, they can't go right, because that's the ocean. That's the Pacific Ocean, and everything's already been built out. And if you can't go up, because you're going to start going towards like the redwoods, right? Like you really can't, and that's far from like the epicenter of the Bay Area, which is like the hub of everything. We already know that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but what you can start doing is going east.
Mm-hmm.
And east also allows what's happening in there's east, there's actual space, agricultural space, but there's space. So companies like Tesla and Amazon and Google are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like slated to grow more and more. So if we're talking about investment or opportunity, when you buy in this area, it's you're buying something that's already appreciating in like 6 months.
Mm.
You could buy in 2 years, and then maybe like a year, your investment is really, your equity has really nicely increased at a pretty good rate.
Okay.
You're talking if you're talking building and development, oh my God, I see it everywhere. I see multi-units potentiality. I see, if you want to build, there's potential here. That's like 50 miles to the bay. That's nothing.
Mm.
That's like New York to a train ride down, right? Like that's nothing. So I know this is the future because I see it already happening.
All right, you heard it here first. The San Joaquin Valley is the new hottest market with opportunity in the Bay Area. So definitely, if you have any questions and want to do business with Desiree, she's the expert in that market. So awesome. So I
I will
want to talk to you about oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I'd love to, anybody that has questions, I'm happy to talk with and help. Matter of fact, I actually just had a Bay Area agent refer me their client just because she liked my vibe, and she was a buyer for my listing. She's like, you know
Okay.
what? I think you're going to do great. Can you take them? I was like, absolutely. And I got him a home. So
Nice.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
All
Back to
right.
you.
So yeah, you talked a little bit about diversity and everything that's happening in the country and the news. Obviously, the conversation recently has shifted towards the Asian demographic. And I know obviously in the Bay Area there's a lot of Asian descent. What's your family's nationality?
Philippines.
Filipino. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you about, because we always mention on this show like the challenges as women that we face in real estate, but then obviously you throw on that extra kind of challenge of being a woman of color in
Mhm.
this market. So what are some of the things that you maybe have experienced that you would say have been challenges, or some kind of way where people have slighted you, I guess, in terms of real estate because of your descent?
Mm. Ugh, it's interesting. I mean, I'm going to keep it real. First starting out on the other side of the bay, um, I really was. I was pretty much the only Filipino agent in a lot of spaces, female
Mhm.
agent in a lot of spaces. Um, but I never felt. I have to be honest. Like maybe it was just the office that I was a part of, just the people. Just I never did I feel you know ever treated differently.
Mhm.
But I will say that, and then maybe that's when the coaching comes in. I just was like, I'm gonna put on, like, who I have to be in this room, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but that did play in a lot. But I would say, I would feel left out of
Mhm.
conversations. I would feel not included in conversations. Maybe if I was, an older white guy, that might be different. I probably think it would be different, to be honest with you. Um,
Mhm.
but so feeling isolated and sometimes not being asked my opinion too, that's
Mhm.
one. Because you'll see there's people who get asked their opinion all the time, and
Mhm.
it wasn't me or anyone that looked like me,
Right. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's like it's subtle. It was like friendly, but not me, like gentle, like gentle, separation of the two. Like it was obvious I'm not like everyone there. Uh,
Mhm.
and then I get slide little things like kiddo or kid or something. And I just don't think that I think if I again didn't look myself, I don't think they would say that to me too. It's not like
Right.
someone says that to, a male, maybe a white male kind of. I don't. It's probably. I'm not saying that is always the case, but I'm just saying these are things that I've experienced. These are just things that I've experienced. And because I'm nice or whatever, I'll say whatever. It's not a big deal.
Mhm.
But I've been, like what I said earlier, I have changed the way that I perceive or receive how someone's receiving me, or even how they're interacting with me. And certainly am like much more about advocating for myself, whatever the case may be. Like,
Right.
and that's hasn't been, I've never really thought about having to do that until I've been in spaces like being the only person like myself in a room, right? In
Yeah.
real, in transactions, or whatever the case. Even clients don't look like me, right? Or come from where,
Mhm.
even that. So what's that like, and how do I advocate for myself to make sure that I'm seen, heard, and respected, just as, like not even just as like everybody else, but period.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I definitely feel you on that. Like, it's not even necessarily like you have experiences of like outright in your face discrimination. It's just kind of like your own consciousness. Like, if you're in a situation, in a professional type of situation where you're the only woman or you're the only person of color, like, we as humans, we need to have those type of relationships, and we need to feel like we're part of a community. And it's like you kind of have those feelings of isolation, like, oh, I'm the only one. I don't necessarily relate to anybody else. They can't relate to my own personal experiences. And then that's what I would say as far as one of the reasons I started this podcast, because representation matters. Like, when I listen to podcasts about real estate, it's mostly older white guys talking about it. And it's like, okay, I know a lot of women. I know a lot of women of color that are doing a bunch of different great things in real estate. So I'm hoping to have this platform to kind of show maybe someone out there that's like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. No one looks like me. No one relates to me. Like, okay, there is somebody out there that looks like me doing it. There is somebody I can relate to, and hopefully inspire them to, take that leap of faith and try to do something different. So
So good. Everybody say thank you to Jessica, everybody, right now. Thank you. I'm so serious. I'm serious. That's so good. Yes. Like it's seriously, it's platform people, someone like you that thought about that. And I think about that all the time. Like we don't, you, because we know what you did. I'm going to life coach you real quick. You paused, you paused and thought about it. You paused and said, hold on. Like I'm listening to all these podcasts, and there isn't one where I can really relate to that person speaking from their story, their experience, or in any way, shape, or form. What they're saying are gems, right?
Mhm.
Sure.
Mhm.
Like they're obviously successful, and the things that they're saying, I can implement. Makes me feel good. I'm motivated. But then it's like you stop to go like, wait a second. Like there's a whole other world that's not even being represented, as well as the wealth that comes with the world that you've opened up and created, like is also juice that no one else has even seen before. So
Mhm.
thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah, like you were saying, like, yeah, the information is good from
Yeah.
a like just an information knowledge transactional perspective, but then it's also you need that story behind it. And oftentimes people from communities of color, women, like it's a different road to how we got to that successful point that is the part where it's missing, like, okay, this is great information, but you're starting off at a different place than me in life or in your experience level or your access to different things that can help you. So it's like I need to hear from somebody that's coming from the same type of standpoint and how they became successful.
So good. It's true. I think it's like it's like what teach each one teach one. We have to, especially
Yeah.
now. So it's so good. I'm so happy. And I've listened to other episodes too. And you bring you bring amazing women. You do, women who have stories, women who have passions and struggles, and
Hmm.
and family dynamics and culture and all kinds of things that I mean this whole, like, not just this country but across the world really can relate to in some way, shape, or form. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And you mentioned Nicole Wilhelm, shameless
yes.
plug. Her episode was episode 14 if you want to check that out. But lastly, I want to ask you about, is there any other initiatives that you have coming on? Any new business ideas that you're working on that you want to share with us?
Yes, actually I do. So excited. I've been working on my first online course.
Nice.
Yes, and it's just like it feels like it's like it's like the sweetest feeling, because I literally have been working on this in my mind
Hmm.
for a long time, and now I'm actually like really working on it. I'm working with like an amazing human being who knows about that space, and really making something, creating something that's really honest and authentic to me, my story, and then also how it pertains and relates to real estate.
Hmm.
I think, like I've been saying, I think that real estate is such a vehicle, and when you start to see it that way, right, things start to really change. And I say that because I hope anyone out there listening, like, real estate's such a vehicle, and to know you can get really excited about what it can do for your life and your family, but then what it can also do for things that you might want to create in the world. I look at you as an entrepreneur, Jessica, right? But you are like in real estate, definitely, right? It's one is you're an entrepreneur, and real estate is a vehicle for you to live the life that you want, to give, right, and start to help your family learn about investing and all those kinds of things. And those are things that's like, that's just, to me, it's so much bigger than something that you couldn't necessarily use or see as a vehicle, the way that real estate can really be utilized as one. That makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's not just about the making money, because like you can make money doing anything, but just having that knowledge, like once you learn about something, you can't unlearn it. And obviously you get so excited about it, you want to share that information with other people. And then when they learn, they're spreading it. So it's just like a good thing that the conversations that we're having now are just more positive, and excited to see that people are getting more interested in investing in real estate and other investing vehicles.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that course is coming. It's gonna be, we're working on it. I'll be filming it soon. Like, just reach out to me when, I mean, I would imagine by the time this releases it at some point, it would be ready to go. But I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about growing. And if you're looking in terms of real estate, Lathrop, Manteca, Mountain House, Tracy, these secondary markets of the Bay Area, is going to see a growth that it hasn't ever seen, probably ever. And I am here for it. So, and I love it. I love to be able to be the bridge from the Bay to here and vice versa, because I know them both. And it's all about helping families and people, right? It's already hard enough life, and the Bay life is tough too. So, however you can help people like live a better quality of life, that's always like my MO. So
awesome. That's
yeah.
an awesome way to end that part of the conversation. Definitely more gems, more markets that you can look into if you're interested in investing in the Bay Area. So thank you for that. I want to go on to the last segment of the show now, which is called the Fabulous Four. And it's just 4 questions I ask all the guests. So just, whatever comes to mind, just go for it. So the first question is, what is your favorite book about real estate?
My favorite book so I looked, The Miracle Morning, however, for real estate, for realtors or real estate agents is a good one. Just the basics. Everything is mindset and habits. And the Keller, was it the million? Oh gosh, it's what everyone reads at Keller Williams.
Yeah.
The Millionaire.
The Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Yeah, that's always a good one. That's always a solid, tactical and practical book with gems that I could still refer to.
Okay, awesome suggestions. Yeah. The second question is, what advice would you give to your younger self when you were just getting started in real estate?
This is a bigger one. And one thing I wanted to add to the books, because it's not a real estate related book, but I brought it out. It's called The Rhythm of Life. It's an oldie but goodie, but it really does talk about like the importance of why you do anything. And I think in real estate, if I would have told my younger self, is know like everything is about competency. The more competent you are in this field, the better you will feel. So get involved into as many transactions as you possibly can. Even like shadow someone, you won't even get paid for it. Just follow them. What did they do? How did they do it? Because just make sure that when the beginning, like get as many, as just get into the thick of it as soon as you can.
Right.
But also remember that this is a straight up marathon. It is not for the short term gain, just like investing. It's just like you have to know that you're actually going to be going on an expedition. So snacks like good sleeping habits, some savings and things of that nature, like set yourself up so that when you actually do practice, be it, particularly residential, you know that everything's going to be about competency. So really get educated, and then shadow, build relationships. Whether that, if you don't know anyone in real estate right now, which is probably unlikely, there's someone that that knows someone in real estate, and kind of see who people are that you like, that you almost want to be like too, for whatever reason, and they resonate with you. They don't just have a flashy car or a big house or anything like that. They actually resonate with you. Those are the people that you want to align yourself with, because at the end of the day, real estate is transactions, but that's when you're playing at you're only looking at like one part of the puzzle. The puzzle is like 500 pieces, and maybe like 25 of those pieces is the transaction part of real estate, straight up, right?
Yep.
It's so much bigger than that. So yeah, I would definitely say that. And just start getting very savvy about investments. Like start reading on investing, whether that's in the stock market or in real estate itself, like all kinds of things, because you can work yourself to the ground and not even have investments for yourself. And these are things that's a rookie mistake that veterans still make, which I think just doing the transactions because you're just doing the deals. I think that's a fallacy of the whole business. I think the entry point is our transactions. That's the entry point into real estate. There's so much
Yeah.
more.
For sure, yeah. Like even with real estate, like people are, get, caught up in the glamour of being able to be your own boss and being able to make these, 5, 6 figure deals, whatever the case may be. But if you don't invest, like you have to keep doing that. You have to keep being on that same kind of rat race of always having to have a new client or do a new deal, or you're basically in the same place. So you have to learn how to definitely make your money get to the point where it's working harder than you, whether that's real estate, whether that's the stock market, crypto, whatever. Like eventually you want to stop working and everything having to depend on what is your next deal. So great
Yeah.
advice. Cool. So the third question is, what topic of real estate do you personally want to learn more about?
Uh, Investing, development. Yes. I want to be like Sin City, the video game. I want to know like how does it all work? Because it all is very much related, like with the city and the county and the state. Like there's
Mhm.
bigger connections to it all. Why? In that case, international real estate. I'd love to learn more about international. I would love to own some international real estate in the next year, 2 years. Maybe Barcelona. I heard my one of my good friends just bought in Barcelona, and yeah, I mean, I get it, but still, like it's Barcelona, and it's reasonable consider.
Mhm.
So things of that nature. And build, and things I'd like to learn too is fair housing. Like how can we address like housing for not just for every human being, like what's that like? So
Mhm. Okay, definitely no. Whenever you're ready to go to Barcelona, let me know, because I'm definitely been talking about that with people of going, but I definitely am interested in the international real estate market. And it's so crazy because people don't think about it, but there's a lot of times where you can get more real estate, more acreage or land or whatever for way less than you would get anything here in the US. So like I'm working on it myself of kind of broadening my perspective about real estate, not just in the context of the United States. So that's great.
awesome. Yeah, I will let you know. They just got a condo, and yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So the last one is to please give a shout out to another woman that's doing some awesome things in real estate.
I mean, this is just always this gotta go to my I call her my mentor goddess. Because she's just the bomb. Yeah, Nicole Wilhelm. Nicole is such a light. She's a
Mm-hmm.
mover and a shaker and a groover. She's about community. She's about each one teach one. She's about, she's fun. She's real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for that relationship. She's doing big things in real estate, and is always about helping others, build generational wealth. Like we're both from the Bay, so we know what it's like. Both our moms are Filipino. We know what that's like. So we have a lot of similarities, and I'm very grateful to be on the ride with her and Michael and our team
Mm-hmm.
too, and Compass too. Compass has been a really just a more than real estate to me. Compass as a brokerage is more than real estate. They're doing things of like community and just things that I'm not seeing in any other brokerage, to be honest with you.
Right. Right.
Um, and that's it's not about that, but it's really like I'm seeing things in the company and the brokerage that I've never seen before, and that's exciting. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not just about like me; it's about the we, and I like that too. So that's
All
where
right.
I got out.
Awesome. Shout out to Nicole. Again, episode 14 of this here podcast. You can listen to her story and find out more about, how she got to this point of being an amazing mentor and, having her own real estate team with her and her husband and just that experience. So shout out again to Nicole. She's an awesome person, awesome resource. Yeah, she's killing the game. So cool. So lastly, how can people get in contact with you if they want to do business or follow you on social media or either, get you as their life coach or anything like that?
100%. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'm on the socials. But I think what I like the most is, is shoot me an email. Can I leave my phone number? I mean, I was thinking about, I was like, just text me.
I got your number, but the
I'm
people
just
need
like,
to know.
I'm totally playing. I'm joking. I'm like, this is funny. How can you get a hold of me these days? I'm like, what's my quickest way to get a hold of me? But no, I'm on social media. I'm in the current position of sort of changing some names and things of that nature. But Desiree Garrido, you can Google me and I'm there. I'm on LinkedIn for sure. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can email me, letsgo at d.garrido.com, because it's always about let's go. And I'm happy to learn. I'm honestly, I'm about helping people like shine, and collaborating and helping us all elevate this consciousness in this game that we're playing called life. And I think that I'm always about positive energy. I'm about quality of life, right? So in that case, when people think about like real estate, I think about like how is the house going to change this person's life for the better, or how is this sale of the house going to change this person's life for the better? And that's where I come from always, even with my coaching, especially with my coaching clients, right? So you can reach me there, Desiree Garrido, desgarrido.com. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to just connecting. That's all.
Absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. So what do you have any last words of wisdom for the listeners out there?
I will say this is your truth. Life gets really in the flow is when you know who you are and you live that truth daily, bravely and daily. And that's when flow starts to happen. Because when whatever you're saying or doing aligns with who you truly are at the essence of you. And that's when I feel like like flow of life and in business really start to happen. So true truth to who you are. And if you don't know who you are, that's the first step, is who are you really? And are you okay with that? You should be in love with yourself. And if you're not, then that's somewhere to look at, because that translates into everything else in your life: business, work, family, your health, all of it. So starts from within.
Awesome. Great message, great words to leave with our listeners. And I definitely appreciate your time for doing this show. Like ever since we met, like I just love talking to you, because it's always, I feel like I leave with like a positive energy and I'm ready to like just be happy and just like, okay, I can, whatever thing that I was going through internally, like self-doubt, imposter syndrome, all those things that we've talked about before. It's like, okay, there is a way to get around those things to continue to just build and get better as a person in real estate, and just continue to make great relationships with people. And as we talked about before, like I love the fact that now I can only have to necessarily deal with people I like. You're one of the people I really like. And I'm glad the pandemic, one of the blessings that came about in doing this podcast is being able to connect with people like you that I may not have ever crossed paths with, because I'm here in Maryland, you're in the Bay, so we may never have even crossed paths if it hadn't been for the type of technology and just resources available to us now. So I just really appreciate you as a great person, and always just contributing positive vibes whenever we speak. So thank you so much.
I receive. Thank you. I appreciate you as well. This has been super fun. I've been looking forward to this conversation for some time. So I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to, and just more opportunities to come to, for sure.
Absolutely. And when we clear up, I'm gonna have to come to the Bay Area and connect with you all, Nicole, and then Tiana. I know she's on your team too. She was on the show, so I just had to come and just really connect with all my new Bay Area peeps. So I'm looking forward to that.
You lucky, because you're coming and you're getting the best of the, not, I mean, you're getting vibe, like you really are. I'm like, you saying that's a whole that's a whole experience right there. So no, but I agree with you. I think the pandemic was was really the blessing to have us create outside of like what we knew, and then new connections came, and even ones that like elevate all of us, like, you know, as you whatever, like, so the thing, same thing with you, like you putting this together. I like whatever you do, I'm like, I'm about, I like absolutely support it, because, you know, I know where it's coming from, I know where it came from. So that's the real blessing about being able to basically overcome, be innovative, and then be even more authentic to ourselves too.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Desiree, for everything, the gems that you dropped about just, you know, the real estate market, and then just also your positivity and everything. So I appreciate everything. Well, guys, this was another episode of Pretty Girls Love Real Estate Podcast. My host, Desiree Garrido, realtor in the Bay Area, life coach, professional development. So definitely check her out. She's doing a lot of amazing things. And then look out for her online course coming out soon as well. So looking forward to definitely seeing the progress with that. So thank you again.
Thank you. What a wonderful time. What a blessing this has been. So thank you.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.